am so glad I checked out episode 1 of Trigun Stampede. Your boy was about to be a little silly because, okay, here's the thing. Before people get their pitchforks, I've never seen the original Trigun. It is on my watch list, but you know how it is. There's a lot to watch, and eventually you get burnt out on watching anime. So why force yourself to watch something you know you'll like, and you wait for the right opportunity to do so. Someday I will watch the original, don't get me wrong. But here's the thing. I really didn't pay attention because I thought it was a sequel. And then when I learned it wasn't a sequel, I was like, can I even actually watch it if I haven't seen it? And I am so glad that this is just a reimagining, a new version of the Trigun story. Based on the director, the creator's comments of this new project, it's more or less is going to be a new take on the source material. There will obviously probably be some things that people recognize from the manga version, but it also is going to do its own thing all at the same time. And Studio Orange being one of my personal favorite studios because they are pushing this medium in perfect ways. I mean, the 3D production that they do from Land of the Lustrous to Beastars to this, they just get better every time I see a new anime from them, and holy hell, this episode, the amount of expression, the amount of detail, there is so many little fine details that you just don't see in 2D productions because it's harder and sometimes impossible to get some of these emotions across, but they went all in. I honestly thought the most distracting, noticeable 3D was honestly the first couple of minutes when they were running on the ship exploding, because after that, once we got into the Wild West location, man, it was just smooth, the blend of almost like a 2D look, but 3D movement and expression. It's a chef's kiss, man. Now, I do have a full live reaction available on the Patreon if you're interested in checking that out, so do consider supporting if you so wish, but we gotta talk about this one. Originally, I was like, you know what, I'll check it out on a Sunday, and if I like it, I'll do it on Sunday. No, this is gonna be a Saturday show. Hands down, I'm gonna rearrange my schedule. Trigun is going to be one of the first Saturday shows you see, because both this and Near Man, they are just, I just love this. It's hard to even pick a favorite this season, but as it stands, this is my new fave. It's just, you don't see these types of stories a lot in anime. Hell, you don't see gunslinger stories in anime a lot. But the fact that you have such an interesting world, you have this futuristic environment, but with this Wild West aesthetic, you have a man with a bounty that would make Luffy proud, from One Piece, of course. And the fact that you just immediately are thrown into the thick of it with basically a couple of kids running for their life, a mother figure saying goodbye, an explosion. You're like, wow, that's I don't know, for me anyway, that's one of my favorite establishing shots. Why I like games like Mass Effect 2 or any movies with a big ship exploding and people saying their goodbye. It's a great emotional hook. And then to just see a couple of characters, reporters, they're just driving and you just immediately are vibing with them. Dude's just trying to take a drink and clearly has a smoking problem. Girl basically is, to the book strict, but then you see how easily she melts and gets flustered and can easily be swayed by flirtatious nature. And our boy Vash is just hanging upside down, tied up. And immediately I'm just thinking to myself, how does this man have a bounty that big but seems so carefree, so positive? He seems like a pacifist. I'm just wondering, where are we going with this? And over the course of it, you're just seeing, everyone love him. Apparently he's the one who saved everyone, and basically this village that seemed to be so hostile when they initially walked into the bar, they're basically saying, we ain't gonna serve you, and if you give us the wrong answer of what you're doing with our boy here, we're gonna kill you. And then by the end of it, we really get a sense of who he can be. I'm still up in the air on where they're going with his character, if he's a complete badass just starting out, or if there's aspects that make him badass and he's a little clumsy in certain ways. Because, there's a moment where basically it's a duel, right? Standard Western showdown, and instead of it, the guy throws his gun in the air and then grabs a bazooka and launches a bunch of missiles in the air. So what I thought was going to happen was he'd pull his gun and he'd shoot a bunch of them, and once, say 10 explode, the rest would explode. It'd be like a chain reaction. Dude didn't even have bullets in his chamber, and then by the time he eventually got a bullet, he then drops it, and he's a very clumsy attitude, but it's that clumsy badass attitude. And to see how he can just take a rock, throw it up there, shoot it with a singular bullet, and then it just causes that chain reaction of explosions. The dude is crazy badass, and I'm very interested to see not only how he ended up with that bounty, but most importantly, why he, more or less, because if you look at his backstory, apparently the brothers would cause all that carnage. You can understand why he's so against probably taking life just because someone's pointing a gun to his head, because it literally separates him from his family. But I'm curious to see what could get him that level of bounty if he's not some cold-blooded murderer who goes around hunting the bad guys and basically takes no shit. Instead, seems like one of the nicest characters from this first episode, yet has a bounty that would arguably say, like, damn, like, what did he do? Who did he piss off to get something like that? And I'm excited for it. There's just so many times when watching this episode where you'll just see characters, like, the way their faces, like, the grumpy expressions of, like, a face puffing up and then frowning, and just the way the bodies would move. Hell, look at the moment when he's loading the gun, just the way he flicks it down, he puts it, just, it's so smooth. Like, yes, I understand. Some people just don't like this type of anime production. That's an aesthetic choice that just doesn't click with them. I get it. There's paintings that are revered to be some of the best in the world. I look at it and say, I don't get it. But I can also recognize that even if I don't like it, I can still say it is art, and I can understand it's all personal preference. The issue what I have when it comes to especially Studio Orange, which I think in general Studio Orange, a vast majority appreciate what they do anymore. They're saying, damn, if all 3D looked like this, I'd be much more happy. But I also see the arguments of, like, even if I do think it's good, I don't want to see all anime like this. And I get that. I'm kind of in the same boat. I love what Studio Orange does. Do I want to see every anime look like Studio Orange? Absolutely not. But when Studio Orange does get a anime production, I'm happy because I know it's going to be fantastic. So I kind of draw the line when people are like, it's objectively bad. I saw a couple weird takes online. I think the vast majority of what I skimmed, it seemed like people were like, hey, like, this is actually really good and better than I was expecting. But when people are like, it doesn't look good, and I'm looking at some of the most smooth animation of expressions and just reactions, like, this literally feels like humans, but with a 2D anime aesthetic, almost the way they blended it. It's most noticeable when they're on the ship and they're kids and they're running. That looks more 3D, and I'm like, yeah, I would have preferred 2D in that moment. But as soon as we get into that desert aesthetic, I'm like, this is perfect. This is exactly what I want to see from this team. And the way the characters almost look like they're 2D, but the fact that they move in a 3D way, it's absolutely fantastic. And the Old West, Wild West music, OST choices, the mystery of the world, and the revenge plotline potentially. There's so much about this that just brings a grin to my face and has me very, very excited for more. So yeah, I mean, this is one that I almost skipped because I wasn't sure. Like, I really didn't hear a lot about it other than Trigun Stampede. I'm like, well, shit, I never saw the original, and I don't want people to get upset because I never saw the original, but just hearing the director be like, I want to make this accessible for everyone. I want this to, like, he literally said, like, you want Svahn to be everyone's childhood hero because he was his back in the day. And I'm like, that's just so fantastic. You can tell this is a passion project, and I think it absolutely shows. So yeah, I mean, I love what this production's doing. I think the characters are all fun and different. Drunken reporter, more to the books, but a little easy to sway with the flirtatious attitude. A badass who doesn't just kill for the sake of it. I mean, there's a lot to enjoy with the characters. The stories, obviously more of a mystery still, but that's not a bad thing. I'm excited to see where over this core we're gonna go with the characters, the story, and this intriguing Wild West futuristic world. But thoughts and feelings yourself down below. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new around here. Like I mentioned, full live reaction is available on the Patreon, so consider supporting if you want to see that. But until next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.